Welcome everyone to the Empower Network TV. Thank you for being and tuning into Mindset Roundtable. This is going to be a fun one. So we got a crew coming at you today. Miles Brown, thank you for being here, sir. Bronson Harrington, always a pleasure. Lesley
Yes, always a
Nicole,
pleasure.
good to see your face on here, Lesley Nicole. Matt Mays, the first time you've been on one of these. Welcome here, sir. And Coach Carter, is this your first one, Coach Carter?
Yes.
Okay, this is exciting. Well, the reason I invited the five of you is because when I interviewed individually, each of you, I found all of you have very interesting mindsets. You all play in a different arena in life, but all of you are doing some very specific things. I'm not going to say those things you're doing. I'm going to welcome you to talk about what you do. I'll just lead some leading conversation or questions just to pull it out of you because you all have some tremendous wisdom to share. So let's go around. Everyone, please do a 1-minute intro in terms of who you are in the world. Lesley, can we start with you? Who you are and what's the game you're playing or the mission you're on in life? Please.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Amos. I'm thrilled to be here. These are always fun and exciting. I am Lesley Nicole. I'm also known as Mama Bear. I'll get to that in just a sec. And I am the founder and CEO of Just One Can. And it's an organization that trains adults to create safe, trusting, and respectful relationships with the important children in their lives. And our ultimate mission is to reduce youth suicide. And the number one reason that survivors of attempts have stated is the number one is that they did not feel that they had someone that they could talk to. And so we train adults to be able to do that so that the children know that they are in a safe, loving, non-judgmental environment. And we do it through fun, even though it's a very heavy topic. So I'm thrilled to be here and happy to serve.
Beautiful. Love having you here as usual. Matt Mays, let's go to you, sir. Who are you? What are you about in a minute or two? And what are you doing in life? Let's hear it.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Matt. I'm a surreal mythical artist. I create art that elevates experiences from the mundane to the mythical, and I use creativity as a vehicle for a transformation. And my vision is to create a world where people have open access and ease of access to their own self-awareness and their own sense of creativity.
Boom. Okay. Okay. Thanks for being here, Matt. We appreciate this. Looking forward to this. Coach Carter, who are you about? Coach Carter, pretend I don't know this and tell everybody what you do and what the game is you're up to, please.
Well, hello, my name is Coach Ashley Carter. I am a team building and high performance expert. I work with leaders, coaches, student athletes, and teams to unlock the tools that are already within them so that they can dominate at the game, but win the game of life. So we work with identity, confidence, mindsets, mental skills, and communication to help these athletes, again, be themselves, but also to be better with their teams.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Coach Ashley Carter. Coach Ashley Carter, what am I supposed to call you? Coach Carter, Ashley, Coach Ashley Carter, which do you prefer?
Coach Carter's fine.
Coach Carter, love it. Okay. Miles Brown, let's go to you, sir. What are you up to? Who are you?
Hey there. My name is Miles, and simply put, I'm a speaker. I use my voice for change. My shirt says do something good, and that's what I'm all about. It doesn't matter who I'm speaking to, where I'm speaking at. The goal of everything I do is to move us to a place where we more easily are willing to do something good. I believe that the things that we hate in this world comes from our selfishness, but the things that we love in this world ultimately will come from the good that we do from others or for others. So that is my goal in everything I do, to push us to do something good. That something is different from all of us. I love what Lesley said when she first got started. I was like, I'm gonna have to find a way to work with her because that sounds absolutely like someone doing something good. So yeah, that's who I am. That's what I do. I do good in that way. I also do giveaways online. I'm about to do another one where I actually give cash away, and I'm in the process of starting a nonprofit organization so that I can gather more funds to give more away so that we can pay bills and rent and mortgages and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, Miles, thank you for being here. Looking forward to hearing more of that too. Bronson, please. Who are you, sir? What are you up to? Oh, you're on mute.
It's becoming an increasingly complicated question. Who am I? But the short thing is that I'm a dude who hangs out and kind of followed his heart with computers. And since then, I've managed to create streams of income in software, consulting, and now most recently, like Bitcoin and blockchain technology as well. So for me, it's really been a case of just following my passions and kind of investing 100% of my focus and my time and everything in the things that I enjoy doing. And then just following that bliss, and trying to stick with it as much and as hard as possible and leverage all the tools in my arsenal to create a better life for myself and my family and my cats. And the whole thing for me was just like one big vision that like I can never lose sight of, no matter how deep and dark it gets. And that seems to be working for me. So, I dabble in all kinds of things, and it just depends which way the wind is blowing this week. But, for most of my life, it's all been an evolution through tools and technologies and environments and economies. And I think for me, what it really boils down to at the end of the day is personal responsibility, which enables a kind of freedom that very few have access to. And for me, it's about kind of setting an example of these are the footsteps that you can kind of follow in if you want to live this kind of life. If you're into flexibility, surfing, freedom, and working a couple of hours a day to be able to put food on the table for yourself and 11 cats, then this is perhaps one way you can do that. But, if you're chasing 50 or 100K months or whatever, then maybe I'm not the guy, but I've definitely got a long-term view of things. And I find in that taking a long-term view, but living in the moment makes a whole lot of stuff possible that wasn't possible for me before, because I was just trying to drag a whole lot of stuff from everywhere with me, from the future, from the past, all of that stuff crowding my now. And I can't function in the now properly because I've got so much clutter all over the place. So for me, it's just about getting rid of all of that stuff and letting me focus on what I'm doing right now. As long as it's moving towards where I said I was going, it's all good.
Beautiful. Thank you, Bronson, for being here. All right, Lesley, I want to ask you a question, Lesley. So mindset, the purpose, the calling you have on your heart, what you're manifesting currently, how have you leveraged mindset to do what you're doing? Because you've had to face some obstacles along the way.
Yes. So the mindset that I use to do what I do is, it starts with joy. Because the purpose of my life is to bring more joy into the world. I can do it in multiple ways. I do it in multiple different ways, in different days, even in one day. Just like sharing a smile with someone who's not smiling. And so when I start with joy and I start with gratitude, then it brings in the expansion to say what is out there to be more joyful about and be more grateful about. Yeah. And because we're dealing with situations where, the kids look fine. Most of the time, that's where everyone will sit there and go, I'm so shocked. He was the captain of the football team. His gallery is full of smiling faces and happy times. And the next day they're gone. And that only comes from having a mindset of that they're focused on something. And so whatever you focus on expands. And so if you focus on joy and you focus on gratitude, then that's what will expand. And if you don't have access to that, you just go one place forward. So if you're angry, then you go, well, what's just one step better than angry? I'm upset. So don't try to make the train go all the way down the track, and just and go, I'm so angry. Oh, great. I'm joyful. This is awesome. Okay. Sometimes you can do that. But most of the time it's just taking the step of how can I feel one step better? And so bringing that mindset of determination as well. And that's where that mama bear comes into. That I was determined. I didn't know what I was going to do with all these kids that I had and by myself and working and homeschooling them. This was back in 2000, right? So, and it was determination as well. that's the mindset of determination, of to just be like, decide what you're going to do, commit to it. You don't know how you're going to do it, but you're still committed to it. And then once you get that commitment, you just resolve. You just resolve to say, this is what I'm going to do. And then the path will appear as long as you sit there and keep going with that focus. So those are some of the things that we use.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you, Lesley. Okay, Matt, let's go to you. Same kind of question. How are you leveraging mindset, Matt? Because you're creating transformational art pieces within a niche of art, within a niche. So what does that look like for you? How are you allowing yourself to go those places?
Well, you know, Amos, it really starts with self-awareness. And as an artist, I think what gravitates you, what you consider your style, I think derives from what you're interested in, you know. So I can look at, you know, on our interview, we talked about a lot of the artists that inspire me, right? So I can look at that, I can sort of reverse engineer that, but also infuse my own voice, my own flavor into it. So, you know, I've always been a very, very curious person. I think in a word, curiosity is the modus, you know, like find and curiosity and discernment at the same time. So keeping open-minded to new ideas, but also being able to filter through them, to parse through them with critical thinking, with, you know, being able to find what's substantial. But yeah, in terms of the art, really keeping myself open to new ideas, and really with all of that, it sounds like a lot, but then finding who is most aligned with me, like who is most aligned with the type of characteristics that I have, the type of things I have to say, the type of things that where I'm going to do my best work, like where I'm really going to do my best service. Right. And I think a lot of artists get caught up in that relationship, right? Because you can be creating art for yourself primarily. So you're thinking about yourself and you're thinking about what you know, like what you like, right? But if you want to do relevant work in the world, if you want to do work that really connects with people, art that really lights people up when they see it, you have to be able to say, what is it that sparks that person's interest? What is it that they're able to see themselves in the art in some way, shape, or form? So that's exactly what I look for. And I look for the places where I can do that best. So look for where, you know, and I've been very surprised too, going to different festivals, going to different shows, people in different professions, people in different way, you know, different walks of life that resonate with the art. So I'm like, what do they all have in common? Right. First of all, people who are very adventurous, people who are very open to their curiosity, that sense of vibrance, that sense of liveliness. I think is the greatest thing that I look for, is the people that have that sense of aliveness and are in tune with their own creativity, their own, you know, maybe they're not an artist themselves, but being able to be in touch with their own sense of creativity, even in a passive way, even in a way that they can receive art, right? Because there are a lot of people who are very, very closed off to that, right? And so it's like, well, I may not be for that person, quite frankly. I want to be for the people who are resonating the most with the art. They find something in the art that most connects with them, right? And so that's why I've been very intentional with my language recently, and really refining the way that I articulate what I do and the type of say pain points I'm trying to address. I want to be the reverse of mundanity, this sort of mediocre, stuck in the mud type of attitude. And I see a lot of heads nodding here, right? I want to be the exact opposite of that. When you see that art, you're like, whoa, god damn, wow, you know? So wherever I can find that, wherever I can make people light up, then that's where I do my best work.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Exciting stuff. Coach Carter, let's go to you. How are you leveraging mindset? So you're working with athletes, you're working with leaders of leaders. What does this look like for you?
Yeah, so I love to use mindset. I think mindset is a bunch of beliefs that drive your behaviors. But as I've kind of done this work more, I've learned that it's a lot of conditional beliefs. Something's true, something's not true, something's learned, something's not learned. And I think that first, just like Matt said, creating a little bit of that self-awareness is really, really important. But really, what I do is I try to create the identity that people have and can have control of their lives. So one of my companies was called Leadership Athletics, and the idea was to teach female athletes how to lead their own journeys, their own ships. What happens is that people fall victim to the outside external expectations of other people. And so so what happens is that they spend so much time trying to please other people that they don't know what's important to them, what they value, what motivates them. So I spend a lot of time breaking those external expectations, helping people find their value on their own terms so that they can reach higher levels of performance. So it's a lot of breaking down to build back up, to creating your own visions of what it is that you want and how you want to get there. And then what are the steps that we need to take to get there.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Coach Carter.
Yeah.
Miles, let's go to Miles Brown. Miles, how are you using now? You're working so you have a heart for nonprofits. You also have a heart for, sounds like philanthropy and just doing a lot of good on the planet. How are you leveraging mindset then, not only to do the work you're doing, but to reach the people you need to reach?
Mindset means almost everything, if I'm being totally honest. So if it doesn't matter where I'm going, there are things that stop us from doing good for others. So one of the ways that people in general find their most fulfillment in life is when they found that one thing that they do all the time that really brings them joy. So like for a lot of people who have children, being a parent and being a good parent is that thing that they do good all the time that really brings fulfillment. For some others, it's like I'm coaching the kids' football team. And that's the good thing that I do that brings me joy. So there's a long list of things, but when it comes to mindset, one thing that I've learned is that there are things that stop us from being able or willing to do that sometimes. So for me, I learned that my voice has power. I learned that our voices have power. And when we learn to speak, we can do a lot of good. But there were things like the way I looked that kept me from being willing to open up my mouth and speak. There were things like how my teeth grow in and needing dental work that would literally keep my mouth closed. I didn't want to speak. You can look at pictures I have on my Instagram page. It's not a whole lot of smiling going on because I didn't want to open up to allow people to see what I have. But it turns out just my message, just saying to do something good, I didn't know how powerful that was. But if I allowed my insecurities to keep me quiet, there are people who would not have done the things that they're doing now. There are people who would not have got up and got active the way that they should. So your mindset, having the mind that there are things that are stopping me, that was stopping others. And so I had to learn that about myself. Like, hey, how I'm thinking right now isn't just affecting me. It's affecting a whole group of people. And then it's also like the thought that I had is my first time doing any kind of giveaway. I gave away $25. I personally felt like this is like a thing from the Lord that I got that I needed to give, but I didn't have much money. Because I didn't have much money, I felt like I couldn't actually make, like, what was the purpose of me doing this? But I was like, I'm gonna do the giveaway anyways. I'm gonna do it. We'll see who wants it. If you want the $25, you'll get it. So I posted on my Facebook, and one of the people that won sent me a message that said, hey, I didn't know what I was going to eat. I didn't have money or food, but now I have food for the next 2 days, or I have money for food for the next 2 days. And that's when I realized that even the things that we think are small to us are absolutely major to someone else. And so my personal mindset had to shift from I'm not good enough or I don't have enough to understanding that where I am right now can be an absolute blessing to someone else. An absolute blessing. So if we don't have our minds right to understand that you are good enough, that you are smart enough, you look good enough, your voice isn't bad, you have enough to give, your talent is more than enough. All these things that we oftentimes say, man, for this reason, for that reason, I can't do. When we let those things hold us back, it's not just holding us back, but all the people that we could positively affect, we are stopping them and slowing them up as well. So for me, just having the mind to know that there is a work for me, and to know that I can teach that to someone else, that there is good that you can do, there is a change that you can make. You are an absolute blessing to someone else. You are good enough, so don't hold yourself back. That means everything to what I do. There is no philanthropy without it. There are no speaking engagements without it. People don't make the changes that they make after hearing me. None of that happens without the mindset to understand that I am all that I need to be the change that I want to be.
Wow. Wow. Mic drop. Thank you.
Yeah, mic drop, powerful.
No, it's amazing. Feel like I'm in church in the best way right now. Again, Bronson, your turn, sir. Mindset, how's that looking for you?
Well, I mean, I think like what I do like, and I can kind of see a thread that develops like across and between all of us. And, you know, I think mindset is one of those things that cultivates over time and is never quite finished. It's your framework for success. And depending on what you're going after, that framework may change, or the components of the framework may change. But, you know, the theme that comes up, like, you know, that took me a long time to learn is, you know, Lesley spoke about it. It starts with being grateful, just acknowledging, you know, what you do have and being grateful for that. And it starts with something as small as a thought, and thoughts lead to action, or thoughts lead to words, which lead to actions, which lead to ultimately wherever you're going to go. And I think that was the thing that really stuck with me, is something that I read in the Bhagavad Gita, which is like, you know, you control your thoughts control your words control your actions, and your actions will ultimately dictate your destiny. And when I read that at 17, I didn't realize at the time that that was something that was going to stick with me the whole time. And I've grown up without a safety net since I was 17. So I've always done things slightly differently, you know. And in so doing, I think that is why maybe like it's nice that everybody has this unique perspective, but it comes back to the thread, and it's about gratitude. It's about self-awareness. It's about knowing how much you're worth. It's about being a little bit, not selfish, but self-full, because you have to fill yourself up before you can start topping up anybody's glasses. All right? Put your own oxygen mask on. Once you can breathe, you can look around and you can decide who's next, you know? And then the thing that came up was self-reliance. And nobody in this panel takes no for an answer. It's something that is maybe somebody else's opinion, but it's definitely not a belief or a fact or a truth. And that seems to be the common thread with everybody in this panel, is that, like, you know, the thing that I read, which is great, is like, do no harm and take no shit. And that's exactly what I see here. And that's why I think you got us all on the same panel. So for me, life is really just about it. The mindset thing has come to be kind of embracing my lazy superpower. And that means getting rid of everything that I don't need to take into consideration to sort out how I operate in life and how I choose to think, and how that dictates how everything else forms after that. Because I've got down to the single point of origin that I can control. And if I control that point of origin, anything else that happens after that will automatically be in focus and in line with what I need to do, because it's been done from a single point of origin, which I've done with a good heart, with good intent. It's something that I choose to do, not that I have to do. And if I put that energy into this system in that way, that energy permeates everything that comes through the system and everything that comes out of the system, which at the end of the day for me means that it doesn't matter what I'm doing or who I'm doing it with, I'll get a result that is favorable for all, or at least a minimum a win-win. And I'd never used to focus on these kinds of relationships or how I could get there in the past. But quite honestly, in the last 2 years, this perspective has opened up possibilities for me that I didn't even realize were on the table. And the whole thing is that the higher you vibrate, the more opportunities you can see, because you didn't even have perspective to see them in the beginning. And the more you slow down and the more you vibe out and the more you stay in the creative flow, like, you know, for Miles, it could be speaking. For Matt, it could be artistic, like stuff that he's doing. And that is a really potent juice. Like, you know, for Carter, it's sports, but it's about that flow that you get into. And in that flow, you're not judging and second guessing and fucking around with small details that don't matter. You're trying to do big things with people, like, you know, change the world with people. And if you're doing big things with a good heart like that, the universe is going to hold you up and support you, because that's what we're supposed to be fucking doing in the first place. So this is where I came in from business, going like, well, you know, all of the stuff I've done has always been for helping other businesses succeed. So, you know, for me, it's a case of, okay, how do I get fulfillment out of this, because it wasn't working for me? So the best way I can do that is to optimize my 9 to 5 so that it becomes a 9 to 11, and use 11 until 5 to do everything else that I want. And that will bring me fulfillment. So that's kind of how I see things. And I use my mindset to influence the frameworks that I employ to get from A to Z.
Beautiful. Wow.
Hopefully that makes sense. But that's just how my brain works. It's just, that's a little bit messed up, but like, it gets me to where I want to be. So I'm okay with that.
Beautiful, big-hearted Bronson. Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bronson. Lesley, I want to go to the next question. What did you have to let go of, whatever you're prepared to share here, in order to get to where you are? Because you've had to let go of some serious stuff to get to where you are. And whatever you're willing to share, teach us, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Amos. I just want to say to Coach Carter, man, like, it's so true. And Bronson, mindset is actually everything, because, and the one thing I wanted to point out is that we have it backwards, like Bronson said, it's twisted, right? And it's because people think thoughts create feelings. And it's the opposite. It's the other way around. It's your spirit, your body telling you something, which produces a thought, if you allow the congruency to come in. And so the thoughts that you think and the things you had to let go of, which is what Coach Carter, I'm so thankful that you're out there and doing that. I'm going to get emotional because it touches my heart, because I was raised very strict and really like strict, and was told what to think, what to do, when to do it, how to do it, where to do it, why to do it, who to do it with, who not to do it with. Right. And so when you are talking about having this outside external beliefs, it wasn't until I was spouting something that I believed. And this person with the most loving, kind, clear heart just asked a simple question. Is that what you believe, or is that what you were told to believe?
Yes, absolutely.
Stopped me dead in my tracks. I can picture it right now. I'm getting the goosebumps. Like, I went, well, wait, I don't, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I was just in autopilot and all of that stuff. And so the things that I had to let go of, that was my little caveat there. The things I had to let go of was learning where I actually began and what all of my programming ended, and letting go of that structure, that foundation, those pillars that I had held on to as my, strength and foundation. And I had to let go. And I ended up in a free fall. I'll admit it. It was total mind-blowing stuff to go, where does Lesley begin? Where do I begin? What is actually of me original? And going on that journey to find that. And then finding out there was so many things in my life that I was doing good. My heart was in the right place. I've never been mean to anyone, just because people were mean to me. So I just never could be mean to anybody because I knew how it felt. But to go on that journey, to let go of that, to go, that doesn't actually mean as much to me as I thought it did. And then it's like, so what does mean something to me? You know, and it's love. It's love and it's acceptance. It's acknowledgement. It's respect. Like Bronson said, don't take crap off nobody, right? And when people share things about me that, you know, weren't true or unkind, I just was like, well, that's just like they just told me I have purple hair. Like, I don't have purple hair, so I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to take that on, you know? And I had to let go of people in my life because I changed. I stopped being the person that they had known me to be, and that made them uncomfortable. They wanted to force me into that mold that I had been in. And I'm like, but this mold's really way better. Like, this new mold is awesome. It's really going to be great. You're going to love it. You know? And it was just like, I don't get it. Like, you lost your mind because this is what you were supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to show up. This is what, you know. And so I just was like, then that's not my world. Like what Bronson was saying about just saying, this is my path, this is my truth, and staying true to myself. And if whatever the chips had to fall, then I had to do it. You know, relationships, family members, it's been a crazy ride and it's been so worth it. So worth it. And if I can say to anyone who's listening, listen to your true self. It's genius. It knows. And there are others out there, like all of us on this panel, that are there for you, to hold space for you and to encourage you and to give you the tools to rise up and be that person that you know that's inside of you to be, regardless of what everything is going on in your world around you.
Thank you so much, Lesley. That was wow. Wow. Matt, we're going to go to you next. And Matt, as Lesley was talking about letting go of skins that, you know, shedding, you not only have walked through that, you are walking through that, you walk through that with your creations. So how are you leveraging, like, what have you had to let go of to get to this point?
You know, honestly, it's a complex question, but I would say single-minded thinking, because people can get caught up in like, it's either this way or that way. You know, we talked about like going through different churches, things like that, being brought up Christian, things, you know, things like that. And the place I've arrived at, I've discovered this wonderful word recently that I would say that I actually align with, this word omnist, which I think most closely aligns with the mindset that I have, right? And it's this idea of you know, truth in all places, but not one religion is truth, that sort of thing, right? And so when I apply that different that sort of mindset to life, to, you know, who I'm listening to, different influencers, I can go, oh well, you know, I can look for like the substance in what they're saying. Say, you know, I like this fruit and the fruit and the seed mindset, like, oh, this is substantial. And then, oh, well, this person kind of like, you know, got to spit that out. A lot of people don't know how to do that. You know, it's like we are pulled, it's like we are compelled, it's like people are compelled in this mindset of it's either this or this. It has to be this way or that way. Never this synthesis of ideas from just, you know, seemingly disparate places, right? So yeah, we're talking about shedding skin. I've had to let go of self-conceptions that were holding me back. It's still a battle, man. I'll tell you straight up. I am still working through that battle every day. You know, I'm still working through that every day. And part of that is letting go of parts of myself that are holding me back, that are not true of myself, things that say others have tried to put on me, right? So say say someone could be true about something in the moment. They could, point out something substantial and be like, oh, you know what, I really do have that. I really do have that issue. And that's some, but that doesn't have to limit me. I don't have to stay there, you know? And I love that. I love that mindset of, just continual progress. Actually, Miles, dude, you're killing me with the cope. I have to show you something real quick. Killing me with the Kobe, man. He's my favorite.
That's my guy.
Yes, I know, man. He's the best. He's the best. And I actually didn't become a fan of his until after he passed away. And I watched an interview. This is one of the best interviews I've ever watched with him on network Valuetainment. I don't know if you've seen that one. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So I got to look into his mindset, into the way he approached the game, the way he approached life. And I'm like, this dude is
Fire.
oh my God. You talk
Mamba
about
mentality is something
fucking
different.
mindset, man. You talk mindset all day, right? So I see that and I'm like, when I hear that that obsession, when I can see that obsession with the craft, I'm like, man, I can fuck with that. Big time, big time. So I'll say lastly, for something that I have had to let go of, right? Because, if you, as someone coming up as an artist, this is probably no surprise. I'll tell you all straight up, it is extremely difficult. It is an extremely difficult endeavor to be financially sustained as an artist. And I'll tell you, it's still a battle, right? But through all of those challenges, I've been able to see myself. I've been able to see my resolve. I've been able to see my determination, see those days where absolutely nothing happened, absolutely nothing good happened, and still look at myself in the mirror and say, well, my creative drive isn't going to die. So everything else around it has to die in order to make way for it.
Wow, that was profound. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for that. Coach Carter, what have you had to let go of to get to where you are?
Yeah, so one of my teachings that I do with athletes is we talk about the critical brain versus the creative brain. And we talk about how we have up to 80% negative thought just naturally because of who we are and how we were created. And also how we have to change those, and that 95% of those repeated 90% of those thoughts are repeated. So it's something that has continuously happened in your life. So we have to kind of debunk, or like I said, break down a lot of those things. And so what comes of the automatic negative thoughts, there's like a bunch, but there's 4 that are probably themes, right? And 1 is comparison. 2 would be the opinions of other people. 3 would be perfectionism. And 4 would be focusing more on the prize, not necessarily the fulfillment of those prizes. And so those are all areas that I know that athletes face. I know that people face. And I always make them circle which 1 or 2 are the prevalent ones in your life. And so for me, when I circle the prevalent ones in my life, it's definitely the idea of perfectionism, which kind of is a byproduct of credibility and validity. And so I think those are 2 of the areas that I personally struggle with a lot. I feel like a lot of times in my life, the accomplishment that I've had to go above and beyond. And I remember growing up, I always would kind of say to myself, I have these 3 strikes. So I'm Black, I'm a woman, and I'm gay. And so what I had to do to combat those things was I had to get a master's degree. Okay, you get a master's degree, you got to get a PhD. You get a PhD, then you got to get a good job, right? And you get a good job, you got to do this. So the cycle continued to happen until I realized, like, it's not necessary. In fact, in a lot of ways that I actually help people now is literally by telling them my story of my parents being divorced, getting divorced when I was 7 years old, of feeling abandoned by my father and like not being around. When my coach told me that, hey, I don't know if college is the best thing for you as far as playing, but like you can be a really great manager and how you see the game. So you should consider coaching. And, just being able to free the thoughts of what should be, and then changing those thoughts to what I want them to be. And so I for sure would say those are big ones for me. That I struggle with every day. And, even joining this empowerment network, it's been awesome, but I struggle with, do I deserve to be in the room sometimes? Or, my niche is different. And so how do I transition, or how do I connect with people who maybe are not in sports? And, you have these thoughts. And a lot of times it's like, no, back to what you just said a little while ago, is that your life experiences connects you to so many people outside of one avenue of the world. And that really reality is that out of 8 billion people in the world, there's only one of you. And that makes you unique, valuable, and enough just as you are. And so that's what I have to lead with, is like, look, I want you to dig into who you are, into what things you've been through, what things you bring to the world. And that's why I'm talking about unlocking the potential and the tools that are already within you so that you can dominate at the game, but win the game of life. That's what I'm talking about.
Wow. Thank you, Coach Carter. I got to tell you, Ashley, listen, I feel the same way sometimes. I feel like I'm surrounded by a bunch of amazing people. Sometimes I feel like, what right do I have to be here too? So just so you know, so thanks for sharing and being vulnerable. That was beautiful. Yeah. Miles, please, you've talked a bit about what you've had to let go of, the judgments you had of yourself. I just wondered if there's anything else you had to share in line with that, or take it anywhere you want to go. But in terms of overcoming the hurdles that in your mind were holding you back, and maybe from external sources, people that wanted to hold you back, what have you had to rise up to overcome and let go of?
Yeah. Was it Coach Carter, or I don't remember which one of you just mentioned it, but you talked about, it was definitely Coach Carter. Talked about the four things, that the four negative thoughts, and one of those being the expectations of others. So when I'm going through, like if I do one of my workshops, or someone joins my mastermind to help them with being able to speak in public, one of the things that you probably all know is that public speaking is one of the biggest fears in the world, right? But one of the biggest reasons it's a fear is because people are thinking, what is everyone else thinking? Like, we're not, a lot of us aren't afraid to talk. We're afraid to say the wrong thing that someone else isn't going to respond to correctly. And that is something that I was like, I had to let go of that. I absolutely had to let go of that, because when your entire thought process is on someone else, why are you not focused on the thing that you're supposed to be doing? And how do you do that thing great if you're only thinking about how someone else is going to respond? Like that, it does no good for anybody. So that's one thing I had to let go of, was worrying about how the next person is going to respond to what I have to say. And so that's a big deal for me. But yeah, like I said earlier, a lot of things that I had to let go of were really just the thoughts that I have. The way I say it now is I had to let go of the bad Miles. And like, the bad Miles tries to stick around. He tries to stay around. He tries to linger. He tries to keep me insecure. He tries to make sure I don't open my mouth. He tries to keep me from smiling. Like, the bad Miles is always trying to be there and show himself. But that's something I have to constantly and consistently let go of. And honestly, the thoughts that we have towards other people, like, that's the big thing that's ringing in my head right now. The thoughts we have towards other people. I made a video yesterday or the day before that I posted, and it's about just knowing what I'm going to say, like studying before I speak, so that I know that I know that I know what I'm talking about. And when I study before I speak on a topic, a lot of times my nervousness goes away, because I'm not worried about if I'm giving something good. I know that I'm giving something good. There's not a question in my mind. So at that point, the only thing is, will the audience apply what I'm giving? But application is on them. It's not on me. My job is to give the information. It's their job to take it and run with it. And when I do that, my nervousness, it settles a little bit. And so what I would say to let go of is let go of anything that is not pushing you to where you want to be. That's the thing that I had to learn to let go, and that I'm continuously learning to let go of. That's all the bad Miles, or all the things that aren't pushing me to where I want to be. And if we could learn to do that and to be consistent with that, because it's easy to fall back into it. Like I had times where I was like, I'm not worried about it. Someone puffed me up. I was looking for validation and I got the validation, and now I'm feeling good. Now I'm smiling more and I'm will open my mouth up. And then I go home for a couple nights and it comes back. And now I'm back to seeking validation, back to looking for someone else to tell me that I'm good at what I do when I've already had the validation. I already know it. So it's like, okay, Miles, you gotta let that go. You have to let that go. You can't let that keep you quiet today. You can't let that keep you from doing what you're supposed to do today. Someone needs you today. Know that someone needs you today. And so just constantly letting go of whatever is not pushing me forward. And that's a daily habit. That's a daily thing. That's part of that Mamba mentality that Kobe would talk about so often. You know, just always push forward to that thing. So that's what I would say.
Beautiful. Thank you,
Can I
Miles.
jump in there real quick? Yeah, when you're saying they need you, it's not that they need someone like you. They need
Goodness.
you.
Oh my goodness. I said that the other day. So
Yeah.
I'm going just a small tangent here. I truly believe that as speakers, like each one of us has a special voice. Our voice is a superpower. And there's an audience out there that needs to hear your voice. Like they don't need to hear someone say something. Like their mom could have told them something, their dad could have told them something, their best friend, but they're waiting for you to be the one to say it. And when you say it, then the change will take place. Then the action will happen. Then the movement will happen. And we find all kinds of reasons for us to stay quiet. It's like, you don't understand. Like there's people, they don't even know it. And some of them do know it, but a lot of people don't even know it. They are waiting for you to open up your mouth and say the things you have to say. So absolutely, Lesley, it's not someone like you. It's not someone doing what you're doing that people need. They need you specifically. So understand that.
Wow, thank you, Miles, for saying that. Thanks for Lesley for jumping in and clarifying that. That's a key point. You know, I just want to say this roundtable is called Mindset, but you five are brave people. This could have been called the Bravery Roundtable. Bronson, let's go to you, sir. What are your thoughts on you've had to let go of a shit ton of stuff. So
I'm good at it. I've been practicing. Yeah, man. It's just, that's the whole thing. It's like you travel light, you take your hand luggage, and anything else that's not important gets the boot. Like, that way you don't have to bring anything with you into the present. You don't have to carry a whole lot of stuff into the future and project where it's going to land. You just need to focus on doing what you need to do right this very second, because your framework has already put you in alignment with where you're supposed to be going. And, like, the universe has put you here on purpose. You sat down with your soul brothers and sisters. You had a look at that soul contract, and you decided before you came here what you were going to do. You put your name on it, and that's your contract. And if you come down here with a contract like that, you can be guaranteed that the universe is not going to put you somewhere you're not supposed to be with tools that you don't have to do jobs that you're not supposed to do. If you can get into alignment with what you're supposed to be doing, it's like watering a garden. Those seeds will bloom if they've been there for 5 years, if they've been there for 50 years. It doesn't matter. If you are willing to let go of the preconceived ideas and beliefs and the programming that we've been given to find what's underneath, you just go like, I think, who is it? Was it Lesley that said, you don't have to go all the way in. You just need to go one level in. And that one level in kind of says to you, hey, listen here, there's more there, and then you can dig a little deeper. And the next thing you know, you're finding parts of yourself that you realize are real and true and resonate. And it's like you are remembering things. You're not being taught new things. These are not new skills that you're learning. This is shit that you remember. And that's the beautiful part, is it's not like a book that you have to remember and take into the future with you and then remember what you learned on what page by which author. It's shit that's written in here. And once it's switched on, it becomes a part of the knowledge base. You don't have to worry about where it's filed or what it's doing. It's there for instant and easy access whenever you need it. be it a belief, be it a skill, be it like some kind of thing that you have to give somebody or something that you have to take from somebody. But I believe that if you can just, accept that you cannot stay the same, you have to embrace change. And change is fucking uncomfortable. No, but nobody likes change. And nobody's perfect, and everybody talks shit about everybody else. But this is the whole thing, is to be better and to get a different result, you have to behave in a different way. And to do that, like Miles is doing it with his voice, Matt's doing it with his art, Coach Carter's doing it from a sports perspective, Leslie's doing it on a human, like one-to-one level. She's not using any medium to kind of affect these transformations. It's direct human contact, like get to the big stuff and deal with it. And that's why, like, people that are able to evolve and adapt and begin to thrive, like the individuals that we have in so many of these panels, like, this is the kind of shit that we are supposed to be doing. Get rid of the stuff that doesn't serve us so we can have a double serving of the stuff that does. And by getting the double serving of the stuff that does, my God, that's fucking awesome. That's fantastic, good stuff. That's going to get me to where I want to be, not to where he said I should be or she said I should be going. Like, they can load up their plates with whatever they want. I'm not the policeman. I'm not your personal trainer, and I'm not your mother. So just give me my double scoop and let me get the fuck out of here.
That was amazing, Bronson. Oh, we do got to go to closing comments, and Ashley's got to bounce. She's got hitting practice, so we'll just flow with this. Ashley, Coach Carter, can you give us your final thoughts on mindset? And then we know you got to bounce, and then we'll just continue on wrapping up without you, please.
Yeah, I just always like to remind people that out of 8 billion people in the world, there's only one of you, which makes you unique, valuable, and enough. And how we will understand that more is when we remove ourselves from external expectations and find our own value on our own terms. And then we will reach higher levels of success, of performance, of community, of love, of support, of value. We'll find all that once we find it in ourselves first. So I just really thank you for this time. Thanks for sharing the space with everybody. And I look forward to connecting with each of you all soon.
Thanks, Coach Carter. Chat soon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh my goodness.
Lesley, let's go to you next. Wherever you want to take it, your turn.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, well, with Bronson, when he just wrapped it all up, it just came to me to where I'm like, we all did in our way, and we're saying it the same way, but I mean, we're saying different ways to say it, but it's about that you had a belief at one time about something that we don't have anymore. Miles dropped things, Matt dropped things, Bronson dropped things, Amos, she had her, Coach Carter had her 3 strikes. Well, we had that belief because it's just a thought that we just had over and over again. That's only the thing that beliefs are. So to get out of the muck, to find yourself and sit there, is look at, what do you believe? And is that actually true? Or is it just a thought that someone told you, or you told yourself, right? Or you bought into, that you just told yourself over and over and over again, that it became a belief. That's why we can change our beliefs, because we change our thoughts. We look at it and say, is it really true? And that's where all of us were saying that we thought one thing about our lives, and we said, I don't want that. I want something different, and then going for it. And that,
yeah. And the one thing I do also acknowledge is that nobody said it was easy.
yeah,
Like, that's the whole thing. Like, you would think that dropping stuff you don't need is easy. Fuck, I wish it was easy. Like, if it was so easy, there'd be 50 people sitting on this panel.
Yeah.
So, that for me was like, this is the duality of the human existence that really freaks me out, is that we want everything to be easy, but we don't do things easily. We want everything to be abundant, but we'll get in our own way of cutting ourselves down before we get there. It's just, we have all of these weird things that we get given, that we pick up, that we adopt along the way. And it's just like, if we sit down and we zoom out and we look at ourselves wrong enough, it is fucking funny. Because we are such a bunch of, like, opposing forces wrapped up in this little thing that just, it's like flopping around so much of the time. How did we get this far without blowing up this planet? You know, it's just, it's amazing. But like when you can actually just look at your own behavior and your own things, it's suddenly a lot less to consider and to try and figure out when you're just dealing with one person and one person alone. And the difficult part is getting to the fact where you can be honest with yourself. And that for me took a very, very long time. I think as an artist, you have to do that all the time. As a speaker, you can't afford to hide anyway. Like those things come at you when you're standing on the stage. You don't know, you can't think about it. You have to let it go through you and out of you and remember it. I'll tag it later and I'll look at it. But right now I'm busy with something else. And, you know, I think that's what you guys seem to have in common is the fact that you're able to, not in a bad way, but compartmentalize the things that work for you and amplify them, and then take the things that don't and either minimize or delete them entirely. And that's beautiful. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I'm here to learn about. Like, really, that's what's going to make the needle move for most of us and for anybody else who watches this. I think it's not easy, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
You're worth it.
Matt, good thoughts, Bronson and Lesley. Matt, Miles, you guys have closing thoughts here? You want to?
Yeah, you know, I love one thing that Bronson said. Well, I love a lot of things that Bronson fucking said, but but this word remembrance, right? Now, I recently went through this men's work, and we dealt with the archetypes. I don't know if you guys are familiar, like a warrior, magician, lover, sovereign, right? But a lot of what sovereign is about that worthiness, that sense of, that sense of self, that sense that you can do it, that you are enough. And in terms of creativity, I see people get stuck in this mindset of like, oh, I can't be creative, or oh, I don't have access to that part of myself, which is really a part of your own human self. It's a part of yourself, that a way of experiencing the world, a way of, well, expressing yourself, right? But there was a time, and I love this mindset. We're talking about mindsets, that there was a time when something was true, and you can use that in a positive or negative way, right? But there was a time when all of us, when we were children, right? If you look back at if you look back at very young children right now, there is no barrier to their level of creativity. They'll pick up those crayons, they'll pick up those paints, they'll do whatever. They'll slap it on the canvas.
They live in it.
Put it on the paper. They're living it. Yeah. So it's like, well, what happened? There was a time when you weren't so inhibited. There was a time when you didn't hold yourself back, So what happened between now and then? Right? And so some of us are fortunately very able to retain that, and being able to be expressive, being able to be creative in specifically that way. And you can be creative in all sorts of different ways, and that's one mindset that is my aim to ale in the world, is this idea that creativity is limited to a certain number of activities, like drawing or painting or creating music or whatever. It's a way of being in the world, right? So it's being able to, exactly. So it's being able to remember that. It's being able to look back and remember there was a time when you didn't feel this inhibition towards your own creativity. And so let's bring that out again. Let's encourage that. Pick up those damn paints.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt, for sharing that. Pick up those damn paints. Miles, closing thoughts, sir. This has been a blast, guys. Yeah, go ahead, please.
So first of all, thank you to each of you that are here. Coach Carter, who had to leave early, Amos, Lesley, Matt, Bronson, thank you all for what you bring to the table. It's awesome. When it comes to mindset, there's something that was written years and years and years ago. It says to fix your mind on or think about things that are true, honorable, right, pure, lovely, admirable. Think on things that are excellent. And when it comes to mindset, that right there is something that will and has helped me and many others, and it can help a lot of other people have the right mindset. A lot of times our minds are not fixed on the things that are pure and honorable and lovely and excellent and good and true. They're stayed and fixed on the things that are negative about us or someone or something, and that just clutters everything and messes up everything we want to do. So the first thing I would say is find the positive things that you can think about and continuously think on those things, meditate on those things, keep those things on your mind all the time, and see how things change and shift in your life. See how your perspectives change. And when your perspective and your thoughts change, see how your actions change. And when your actions change, things in your life will physically begin to change. So that's the first thing. And then the last thing I would say is what's on my shirt. Do something good. Find a way. Think about a way. And then go out and do it and just see what happens to someone else. See how you feel about it, see how they feel about it, and then see what they do for you in return. I've learned one thing is for sure, when you do good for others, they are much more likely and much more willing to do good for you. And oftentimes they'll go above and beyond the good that you did.
Wow, what a way to cap it off. If you've been watching or listening to the Empower Network TV, you've been listening to Miles Brown today, Bronson Harrington, Lesley Nicole, Matt Mays, and Coach Ashley Carter, who had to bounce. You five were fantastic today. Thank you all for being here.
Do I get to ring my bell now?
Yes, ring your bell.
The childlike wonder continues.
Hey, everybody's smiling. That's all that matters.
It
Have
says
an
it
awesome
brings
day,
a
guys.
smile.
Let's do this again sometime. This was a lot of fun. Thanks, Emma.
Absolutely.
Ditto, for sure.
you.
Love all of you guys. It was an amazing time together. I could do this for
And to
hours.
everyone watching, sorry about the F-bombs, but once I get rolling, that's what happens. F happens.
Well, I think we both got red cards for that one, Bronson.
I'm a walking red card. It's fine.
Yeah, you're still on the screen. You're still on the screen.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. We'll end it here. I'll tag you all. And thanks for bringing your gold today and sharing your nuggets with us. These are always a blessing to people that watch. They're a blessing to me. And all five of you are an absolute treasure. So thanks for being a part of the Empower Network TV. Really appreciate you.
Thanks for making it happen, Amos.
Awesome.
My
Bye,
pleasure.
guys.
Ciao for now.